Hello there, it is Nick Zangl coming to you live from California. So, this past weekend I was watching, or I was, I guess, listening slash watching one of my favorite legal commentators here on YouTube, and it was over the new lawsuit between YouTube beauty guru Tati Westbrook and her former business partner Clark Swanson in her Halo Beauty nutraceutical hair growth supplement company. And it was very, very interesting because as I was listening, I was taking notes of parts of it that were just kind of wild and just completely crazy things and interesting things to get a little peek into the world of a big internet personality and kind of the business dealings that go on with that. And so at the end of this, I will link, after the live, I will link Emily D. Baker, who is the legal commentator I was talking about, her whole breakdown of the legal document, which she pulls up the actual lawsuit filing and reads the whole thing and gives her take as a legal expert, a legal person, former lawyer, whatnot. And so I wanted to kind of pick out a few things that I thought were really interesting and share my thoughts on that live with you here on YouTube. But if you're joining live on YouTube, make sure to comment in the live chat and I'll read your comments as we go along. And I have, I think, 17 bullet points, 17 different things that I found were interesting. But if you're listening on or watching on the replay, either here on YouTube or you're on Rumble or you're on a podcasting platform, thank you so much for tuning in. And make sure to comment where you can or head to the description where you find my email address where you can sign up for email list and whatnot to reach me directly instead of like a direct message or a public comment. So with that said, let us jump right into what's going on here. So first I want to say, so this is actually the second lawsuit between Tati and the business partner. The first lawsuit was the business partner suing Tati, and now we have the reverse, which is Tati suing her former business partner, Clark Swanson. Now, the other lawsuit that has been really the one that took up a lot of the headlines over the past 8-9 months was the Without a Crystal Ball Katie Joy lawsuit, where Tati sued Katie Joy of the YouTube channel Without a Crystal Ball. And we know that came about because of the things that Without a Crystal Ball had said about Tati over the years. And so there's plenty of videos covering that, but we're going to focus on what's going on here. But that is important because we found out through the conclusion of that lawsuit, which happened last month, or I guess in May at this point, who Katie's source was, who was feeding her all this information that she was saying was from a source close to the matter. So we got basically confirmation from Katie and from Tati that they settled, and we confirmed that basically Clark Swanson, who's the subject of this one, was the source of Katie Joy. First, I want to say hi to whoever's here. Okay, I see Ben is here. Thank you so much for being here, Ben. I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing well as well. There's a lot of interesting things that came out of this lawsuit, no matter if you know who these people are or not. Just fun and interesting conversation and interesting revelations. So, Tati, before we get into my interesting things, I have 17 bullet points. Tati returned to YouTube a few weeks ago after my last video regarding touching on the fact that the lawsuit had been settled, the last one. And I was kind of hesitating if I would make a video or comment on it, because the video that she made just basically was the video coming back basically saying, I'm in a lawsuit, confirming that it was with her former business partner, which is Clark Swanson. And so I didn't feel I needed to make anything at the time until more came out, which I'm glad I did, because now we have a lot more to talk about. So even though she didn't really, in my opinion, need to make that video, she could have just come back, but I guess she felt like she owed it to her audience after being away for over a year. One last thing before we get into it. I see, hey, Tennessee Vol Mom. Okay, I have to say hi to Doreen. Hello, thank you for being here. It's been a long time since I've seen you. And I wanted to say, too, that I am still catching up on my watch later list. My last video, I don't know if you saw it, but I, for a few weeks, was not posting, and leading up to that, I was trying to get ahead because I knew I was going to be away, and I basically haven't been watching a lot of YouTube channels that I normally watch and some of you guys that I support. So I, this weekend, am going to be catching up now that I feel like I'm finally back in the swing of things. So thank you so much for being here, Doreen, and I you'll see me in your comment section very soon. Okay, so Ben asks, who is Tati? So Tati is, so I was about to get into that. So Tati is I would call her like a beauty guru, but she's really kind of a makeup reviewer from what I've understand of late, and she kind of reviews products and whatnot. And I actually have frequented her videos every so often over the years not because I wear makeup or I'm interested in makeup really or buying it. It's that I find them really relaxing to listen to and to watch. For whatever reason, I like sometimes like what Tati does, her makeup videos where they review it or they put it on. I think it's fascinating with the music and everything, with the good sound, their voices. Also, I like nail painting videos for some reason. I don't know if you've heard of Nail Career Education. She kind of was mentioned by Jenna Marbles and kind of knows Christine from Simply Logical, which started the whole 100 layer challenge, which was a big thing a few years ago. And her voice is really relaxing and soothing. And just something about someone putting something on them in a relaxing way, obviously, and not in an inappropriate way, but is relaxing. Also, like painting videos, Bob Ross, that whole category of things is really relaxing to me. So even though I don't really do any of those things in my real life, I just find them fascinating and kind of take my mind off of other bigger things that I need to take a break from. And also, classroom setup videos is another one, like teacher vloggers. I don't know what it is. Just organizing is satisfying. Anyways, let's make sure. Tennessee Mom says thanks. Perfect. Here, I get to put you on the screen. Yay. Let's see. Ben said, okay, no worries. Now you know. Let's see. Violet is here. Hello, Violet. Good evening to you as well. Thanks for being here. You say, I don't know her, but is she connected to MLM? I don't think Tati... I don't think she is, but she has a kind of a supplement company, or like a hair, skin, and nail supplements and whatnot. So I would think maybe at some point she might consider doing multi-level, but I don't know. We'll see. But we'll talk about that in a few seconds. So enough about that and me prefacing all this. I think it was good for me to do that while everyone's joining. But anyways, let me know. Make sure everything sounds good. I know I've been talking for a while already, but let me know. All right, so 17 things that were distinct out of this lawsuit with Tati, who is a beauty guru in the beauty industry review. She has 8 million subscribers. Just so you know, and we're going to get into her influence in a few seconds. But so the first part of this is the Clark Swanson dealings. Clark Swanson is her former business partner in her hair, skin, and nail growth supplement company, which they were going to expand to more stuff, which is what we'll learn. But the first thing was, apparently, Clark, who was the chief financial officer of the company, may have, in fact, found out he is no longer a partner or officially in business with Tati through this latest lawsuit filing only a few days ago, which to me is crazy to think that if I was involved with someone, but we're going to find out later why, to find out that I'm no longer in business with them through a lawsuit would just be kind of wild. But the second thing was there's an allegation in the lawsuit that Clark was deliberately trying to sabotage this company as he was still a partner in the company. So when I think of that, I think of, okay, I would only go into business with someone I fully trust and think it has my back and isn't going to screw me over, right? But then at some point, you see, because you trust them, you maybe see some red flags, but you're kind of ignoring them because you trust this person. And obviously you want to believe that you went in business with someone who's ethical and has your back and is kind of has the same goals as you and wants to get to the same place as you, or at least in part, or the things they are involved in, they are kind of saying what they mean and whatnot. But I just wonder how you trust anybody again after your trust is broken on this level, where you have a multi-million-dollar company that almost completely got screwed over, which is, we'll learn more about that in a few seconds, because of the person that was supposed to have your back and be involved with you in the inner workings of the company. That was the one big thing I saw. But next we saw that this is kind of interesting a while, and obviously shows that Tati is not dumb and doesn't just fall for anything. But Clark allegedly, in the lawsuit from what Tati's team is saying, wanted Tati to promote an erectile dysfunction supplement on her channel in videos because this Clark guy said he was in the industry and in the supplement development or whatnot industry for a long time, and apparently he was just trying to pawn off other things, whether they're actually things he created or things that he's kind of promised through access to Tati from people outside the company, and was kind of using that as his way of building credibility or kind of distracting from the fact that maybe he isn't as well qualified as he was saying. Quite the allegation, but it also showed that Clark, who in previous lawsuit against Tati was basically alleging that Tati wants to just slap her name on any product because she knows the level of influence she has, and basically that her fans will buy anything. And this is something that we now have connected the dots to Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball, because she's the one that really, over the years, ever since Tati has come out with her own product through the Halo Beauty line that we're talking about, Katie was referring to Tati as a snake oil saleswoman, calling the Halo Beauty supplements snake oil. And so we can now put it all together in that Clark clearly was upset about something regarding Tati and was feeding this information to drama channels Without a Crystal Ball. And so she was just repeating it because obviously Clark is in the company with Tati, so why wouldn't you trust that what he's saying, if you don't know the red flags that we're learning now, why wouldn't you trust what he's saying is what's really going on inside the company? Now, from what I've seen from Tati on her channel, from the times I've seen her reviewing products, and she actually has another company, which is her makeup cosmetics company, and from what I've seen reactions to her, I don't get the impression that she just wants to slap her name on anything, or that she is someone who is just reviewing stuff because someone gave it to her and is kind of giving her some behind the scenes kickback, because even her most recent videos, I see she's very honest about what she's reviewing. She says, I want to like this because I like the person who made it, but this doesn't work for me, and this is not the best thing, and I wish they would have done this, but I like this other product better. But I think she has integrity, and I think she has a lot of respect in the kind of makeup world, and we're going to get into that in a few seconds on her evaluation as far as how much she charges for a sponsorship, which blows my mind, and I think it blew a lot of people's mind, but it just shows how lucrative and how much influence, how much value influence has. So another thing that came out, which is number 5 bullet point, was that Clark Swanson apparently misrepresented his expertise in the industry. And the big thing that came out of that was that, wait, hold on. Okay, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that later as far as red flags regarding Clark Swanson's, what he said he was a part of, which are pretty serious mistakes that he made, which show that he wasn't as experienced as he thought. But we're going to get into the influencer money right now and how much Tati is worth and what her value is as far as brand awareness and sponsorships. So let's see if anyone has any other questions. All right, Ben says, I have a question about Tati. You can leave it in the chat, Ben, if you have that question. All right, so with that said, let's actually get back to this. So influencer money. So in the lawsuit, in a roundabout way, they basically kind of bragged about how much Tati can make on a sponsorship by comparing how much money Clark had invested in the company, which wasn't that much in the grand scheme of things, to how much she makes in a video, by basically saying in the lawsuit that Tati makes more than $200,000 per sponsored video on her channel. Now, just to give you a grasp of numbers, she has over 8 million subscribers, and I've seen her average viewership as like 750,000 to 1 million views per video. She does about 2 to 3 videos a week, and she reviews a whole bunch of makeup and whatnot products. And so clearly there's a justification for her charging this much because she has quote unquote influence. And I don't know how often Tati actually does a sponsored video where she actually discloses that it's sponsored by whatever. But $200,000, like, obviously she has to be mindful about how much she's doing sponsorships, because I know if I'm not expecting sponsorships from a channel all the time, kind of like a podcast or a radio program where there's commercial breaks and it's kind of a regular part of the show, she's obviously not making $200,000 like all the time if she's not doing sponsored videos all the time. But it just shows that if she believes in something and she gets a sponsorship from that company, she brings a lot of value to the table. And with that said, also in the suit, this is bullet point number 7 out of 17, we see that 3 days into launch of Halo Beauty, the first product they launched, they did $1 million in sales in 3 days. And that wasn't any paid advertising. That was literally just her mentioning it in a video launching the product, saying, here's the product and it's available whenever or whatnot, or now, or like an Instagram post. But she didn't pay anybody else or have to sponsor those posts or those videos, from what I understand. And so that is wild, and we'll get more valuation into that in a few seconds. But I guess this was the part I was looking for, which is going back to the Clark Swanson thing and his credibility as far as being in the industry, was that he was in charge of kind of the packaging and the spelling and the dosage on the packaging. And in the lawsuit, this recent lawsuit, they alleged that Clark had spelling errors on there, had dosage errors in the initial launch, which possibly supported his exaggerated experience claims. But from a business perspective, I mean, especially if you're doing like a supplement, spelling something wrong, which could be the wrong ingredient or people not knowing what the ingredient is if they want to look it up, and dosage errors are huge, because we know that certain doses of certain things are more dangerous than others. And so you could be a small error or percentage away from some very serious things for the company that could put them under. Because I know if I take something and it's telling me there's, I don't know, however many milligrams of caffeine in it, and it ends up being, or and they're off by like a whole decimal point, meaning they meant to put 50 but it was 500, or it was 500 but they put 50, whatever way you want to spin it, that could be extremely problematic for me as a consumer. So I can only imagine why those things need to be looked at a lot and why this is such a big deal. So that was a huge thing that was brought up in the suit as well. But also we learned that Clark then wanted his money back, whatever amount it was. Clearly it was probably $200,000 or less dollars out of the millions that ended up being made. And we'll learn later that there wasn't a lot of debt in this company either, which is crazy. We learned that Clark wanted his money back because he needed to pay off other things or explore other options. But allegedly, those other things and those other options were that he borrowed money from an Indonesian coal tycoon. And I just want to be careful with how I say this, but if you know anything about people with what I like to call FU money, or like so much money that they just can do basically whatever they want, especially from overseas, you know they have so much money that they can basically eliminate you, if you know what I'm saying, like eliminate you from the planet, and basically have the means and connections to basically get away with it. So I believe that the pressure Clark was under to repay whomever he borrowed from was pretty serious, and so that's probably why he got a little bit desperate in what he was doing. Now, we then learned that, and this is number 10, operating the company, which was launched in 2017, by the end of 2018, had $9 million in revenue. They were debt-free at that point. They still hadn't done any paid advertising. And Tati was obviously meant to be the face of the company, but only through word of mouth and her mentioning it, they got to $9 million in sales. And get this, by the end of the next year, that had grown to $16 million. So now you can see kind of how they justify Tati's per sponsorship rate of $200,000 is, look what happens when a good product is endorsed by her and she has the credibility to back it up, what can happen. And from what I understand, when she came back the last few weeks, Tennessee Ball Mom, you said, got around, I have a last minute interview for my channel that just got moved up. I'll watch it. Yes, thank you so much. Definitely take care of your channel, and I will look forward to catching up on your videos as well. So good luck, and hopefully the interview goes well. All right. Sorry, I just realized too that the picture wasn't showing. I think I minimized it. Okay. So that's all justified from Tati. But a few things as far as lessons learned from this, just for all of us, as far as just going in business, no matter how big or small, is get things in writing. I know it's kind of obvious, and I know this is a big deal and something you should do. And I know this from my career outside of YouTube. That's a very important thing. If you want it to be remembered or to have some legal findings and discovery, then you, good and bad, then you want it in writing. So this is just another example of making sure that happened. But with that said, it appears that Clark breached the agreement with Tati, which it appears that it was, I think this is the part that was kind of verbal with them, that he would not talk about the inner workings of the company outside the inner workings of the company. But we now know that he did exactly the opposite of that, because he was talking to quote unquote drama channels, meaning without a crystal ball, and that led to the whole drama behind the defamation lawsuit and all that kind of stuff, which is crazy. But also, another red flag that was mentioned in this lawsuit by Tati's team was that Clark had allegedly been testing on animals or using animal byproducts, even though they were trying to be what is called Leaping Bunny cruelty-free standards, which is that little leaping bunny you see on packaging that's supposed to be cruelty-free. And I thought this was also a big old yikes too, because that's, especially in today's day and age, being cruelty-free is becoming the norm, and consumers are more and more looking for that in their products. And so that could have been a huge detriment, or could have been detrimental to the brand and to the company if, let's say, they did get the Leaping Bunny thing and then they, for some reason, switched to animal byproducts, or they were unable to get the Leaping Bunny certification because of this mistake. Luckily, it sounds like they caught it before things kind of got to the marketplace. But again, that's another cost, a sunk cost in their company that they weren't anticipating if they had someone who was being honest about their experience, and this probably wouldn't have happened. Also, we learned, this is kind of another concerning thing, which is number 14 out of 17, which is that Clark blocked payments to lawyers in the defamation suit against Katie Joy, which was the one that we've been talking about for months. And so that was a huge red flag, and probably was, I would think, would be one that led Tati on that, thinking that maybe he doesn't want that suit happening for a reason, because if he was obviously the source of much of the information that became defamatory, and obviously we find out was pretty much untrue, which is the whole thing about Tati's husband wanting to like pull the plug on his mom to get money and all these wild things that came out of the Katie Joy thing. And so obviously Clark didn't want that suit going forward, because he was the source of a lot of those troubles. And so he clearly got desperate and was just caught up in this, and finally just went under, it appears. But also we see that it appears that Katie Joy had switched tones on Clark Swanson after he reached out to her as a source. And it kind of just reminded me of how some people just put clicks and views and money over everything, to the point where they don't even care, or maybe they don't know, or they don't think, they they don't think the internet remembers, or they don't care about their reputation in some way. It's one thing to make a mistake or to change your mind, but to just sway with whatever way the wind blows that day, it's kind of like you must either not care and be very desperate for that stuff, or you're so well off and so successful that you literally don't care about your reputation and you are basically set for life. I don't know, but I just can't see other ways that I would get to that point where I'd be that wishy-washy. Now, a few more things before we get into a live Q&A chat, which is number 16, which was regarding James Charles. And that is, there's an allegation that someone in his family was also a source for Katie Joy. And basically they're saying, or there's allegations that it's his mom, or James Charles's mom. And apparently she got involved because she was defending her son after the Bi Sisters scandal, which was a whole thing a few years ago where James Charles was accused of stuff by Tati, and there's a whole drama on that as well you can find online. But it appears that his mom may have been kind of talking poorly about Tati behind the scenes to defend her son, and also maybe the reason that James Charles reached out to Katie Joy, telling her to not get any more involved and to basically backtrack on the posted videos regarding what she was reporting about Tati that we now know led to the defamation lawsuit after multiple cease and desist letters. So all I'm going to say about this is my immediate thoughts when James Charles and allegedly his mom being involved behind the scenes was that this kind of makes sense makes some sense out of why James may have been doing, saying, and handling things over the past few years and some of the huge scandals he's been in the way he has. Because, I mean, and obviously I didn't grow up in the household. I don't know how his mom parented him or whatnot. But looking at how she was involved in this, I'm not surprised that he was handling things and doing things the way he was. But then again, I think, okay, if I think of mothers as very protective of their kids, and so maybe that's what it is. But I'm thinking if your mom's getting involved in drama like this, then it's possible that maybe she's part of the problem. That's all I'm saying with that. You can let me know if you think I'm off base here, or if you think it's completely not that, let me know. But the last piece before we get into the live chat Q&A was that there was this thing about Clark Swanson using a disappearing email service to send communications to people or to drama channels. And all I thought about that was clearly that service is only as good as your trust in the person you are sending those things to, because clearly that information he sent did not disappear from everywhere. And if you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee it, or you could just have the email disappear and then type in what you saw on another server of your own because you received the message, and it still exists and you can still repeat that information. So I was under the impression that emails are very hard to get rid of, but I'm also under the impression that once it's out there and someone else hears it, there's a chance that it lives on no matter what. So if you really don't want it out there, then don't say it. Just keep it in your brain or write it down somewhere that no one else can get to. I don't know, but that was just something I was like, God, this guy, maybe it's not as common knowledge as I thought it was, but he basically set himself up for this and just kind of had to keep covering his tracks or keep doubling down or keep the lie up and do more and more lies. So those were all my bullet points, 17 of them, regarding this latest lawsuit filing. I said I was going to follow this suit because, well, actually the one before this, the one where Clark was suing Tati, but this kind of goes hand in hand with that one where Tati is now suing Clark. So let me know what you think. If you are still here live, go ahead and leave some thoughts or questions in the chat if you need some clarity or any more thoughts on what I think of this whole thing. And while you're doing that, thank you so much for everyone who always likes videos and comments on videos and watches and subscribes and turn on post notifications. And those of you who sign up for the email list, thank you so much for all the support. I know I don't ask for those things, but I wanted to say I know a lot of you do them regardless of if I ask or not. So I want to just say thank you for all the support over the past year plus, and I'm just still continuing to look forward to what the future holds, and we're gonna keep on going. But with that said, while you're still adding to the live chat, if you have anything left, until the next one, which is tomorrow, which will be our Thursday Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap, which is going to air in a few minutes here in California. Make sure to click around the channel if you're looking for other content, and I am looking forward to all that happens every week here, and coming up with more content for you and for us to have great discussions with. So, with that said, it doesn't look like anyone has anything else to add for now. But if you think of something else, go to the main comment section, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, comment where you can, and I will make sure to continue the conversation with you in the main comment section. So with that said, thank you again for being here, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.